I'd like to call, I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 9th, 2024 Midtown Redevelopment Board meeting. Can we have roll call, please?
Ms. Davita Bonner,
Present.
Ms. Renee Richardson,
Present.
Ms. Kathy Washington,
Present.
Ms. Joan Shepherd,
Present.
Mr. Lynn Thompson,
I'm here.
Pastor Eddie Lake,
Present.
and Ms. Tangela Hart.
Present.
We have a full quorum.
Thank you. Now we'll have the invocation by Pastor Eddie Lake. Everyone, please stand.
Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this opportunity and privilege to gather together as the Midtown Redevelopment Board. We pray for your grace to be upon us as we make decisions that will positively impact our community. We pray that you would give us wisdom and witty inventions to make great things happen. Continue to bless the city, bless the staff, bless those who work to make a difference. And we speak your blessings upon the decisions that will be made here today, that it would have everlasting impact in a positive way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving to the approval of the agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to view the agenda? Can I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So move.
Second. Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed signs, like sign? Motion carries for the approval of the agenda. Moving forward to the approval of the minutes, we're going to look at the minutes for May 14th approval. Has anyone had an opportunity to look at them?
Heidi Lake moved the approval of the minutes.
Second.
No, somebody else.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have to,
No, did Ms. Washington say second?
I keep forgetting. Okay.
That's right.
A second,
That's right.
a second.
Okay. Any opposed, like signs? The motions for the minute for May 14th carries. And there is no minutes for June 2024 because that meeting was canceled. Moving on to item 7, which is Midtown Plaza rezoning project. Ms. Jessica Gow.
Madam Chair, board members, I'm Michelle Tolliver, the redevelopment project manager for Midtown, and I'll present first. Ms. Gow is here to follow up, and she'll answer any questions and cover any areas that I have not. For item 7, the plan development, redevelopment, PDRD rezoning, Midtown Plaza, Plan District, DEV 2022-164, quasi-judicial hearing. The project request, a request by Robert Merrill, Cobb Cole, on behalf of QM Investment LLC property owner to approve a rezoning request of .27 plus or minus acres of land on 2 separate lots located at 534, 536, 538, 540, 542, and 544 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard from Redevelopment Midtown Neighborhood Center Mixed Use, RDM2 zoning district, to Plan Development, Redevelopment, PDRD zoning to allow additional uses and all associated site improvements. The next slide is the site location. It's at the corner of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard and Walnut Street, McLeod Avenue to the north, and Pearl Street to the west. This next slide is an aerial of the current conditions. And the next slide is the current land use, which is commercial transitional. The next slide is the current zoning, which is RDM2, Redevelopment Midtown Neighborhood Center Mixed Use, and the proposed zoning is Plan Development, Redevelopment, PDRD. The next slide is the project history. According to the Volusia County Property Appraiser's records, it reflects that both properties were purchased in May 2019. Improvements to the property at 536 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard was completed in 2021, and Midtown Cafe opened in January 2022. The applicant requests to rezone both properties from Redevelopment Midtown Neighborhood Center Mixed Use RDM2 to Planned Development Redevelopment PDRD to expand the uses for the properties and associated with the associated site improvements. This next slide is just an overall plan for the development. To the front, of course, is the two existing structures, and then the rear is the outdoor event area. The waivers and modifications. As part of the rezoning request, the applicant requests the following waivers and modifications from the Land Development Code, LDC. Article 6.2, Parking Standards. Section 6.2 sets forth the standards for off-street parking spaces within a development. The applicant is requesting to waive the requirement to allow for redevelopment of the property to meet the standards for off-street parking related to residential uses above ground floor retail, which utilizes public parking spaces located in the vicinity of the site through an off-site parking agreement. In Article 6.4, Landscaping, Section 6.2 sets forth minimum perimeter and building landscaping requirements, in addition to the required buffer between incompatible uses. The landscape and perimeter buffer requirement does not apply with the RDM2 zoning classification. The applicant requests a waiver from these requirements to the extent that it conflicts with the landscaping within the proposed development plan. The applicant proposes to use the clustering of landscaping materials around the building to ensure an aesthetically pleasing development that protects the survivability of the landscaping material. As part of the review of the existing landscaping within the property, the applicant requests a waiver from the requirement for tree preservation under 6.15.A.5, which states that at least 6 diameter inches of existing trees shall be retained and preserved for every 2,500 square feet of total development site, and a minimum canopy coverage of 15% within the site under Land Development Code 6.15.A.4. The applicant proposes to maintain and supplement planting areas within the planned district that will help ensure green space and buffering. The next slide, it shows the existing conditions, and this is the landscape that the applicant proposes along the front portion of the building. And this is the east side of the building and a picture of the rear of the building. As you can see where that beautiful mural is, there is no opportunity to provide additional landscaping. The next slide covers Article 6.10 for signage. Signage at Section 6.10E.1.G prohibits off-site advertising for uses. The applicant requests a waiver to allow signage to serve both properties located within the planned district to be located on either parcel. Article 5.2, Use Standards, Section 5.2.B.18.B.II.H requires live entertainment associated with a restaurant to 1, be limited to a single contiguous area of no more than 100 square feet. Number 2, occur only between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. And 3, involve no cover charge. The applicant requests a waiver to allow for use of the property for temporary uses subject to the standards outlined in the Planned Development Agreement to allow live entertainment to operate within the outdoor event area to allow Fridays and Saturdays between 9 a.m. and 12 midnight, and to allow a cover charge. The next slide, Article 3.3 and 5.4 for special events requires certain conditions apply that would restrict temporary uses within the site. The Land Development Code also requires special events be limited to a maximum duration of 14 days per site per calendar year. The applicant requests year-round events in accordance with the proposed plan development agreement, which can occur more frequently than 14 days. The applicant also requests an exemption from permit review. The next slide is the recommendation. Provided all Land Development Code modifications are accepted, staff recommends approval to rezone .27 plus or minus acres of land located at 534, 536, 538, 540, 542, and 544 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard from Redevelopment, Midtown Neighborhood Center, Mixed Use, RDM2, to Plan Development, Redevelopment, PDRD zoning to allow for additional uses and the associated site improvements. A majority vote by the Midtown Redevelopment Board members present and voting is required to recommend approval to the Planning Board and the City Commission. This item is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Planning Board on January 25th, 2024, and the City Commission first reading on September 4th, 2024, the second reading, public hearing on September 28th, 2024. That concludes staff's presentation. Do you have any questions?
We'll take questions. Ms. Hardy,
I have no questions.
Ms. Bonner,
I don't either.
No
Ms.
questions.
Washington, Joan.
You know I'm the one. My only issue with this entire presentation, and I'm all in favor for it, is the permit review. I think that all permits should be reviewed and make sure that they are in accordance with all of our regulations.
Ms. Gow can speak to that. There will be a process that staff reviews, but it won't go through our regular review process. And I don't know the details enough to talk about it, and this is recorded and it's for the record, so I'm gonna let Ms. Gow answer that. Or our attorney can, but Ms. Gow can answer that. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, I've been to this place many times, and I enjoyed myself. I just have a question as it relates to, there's another business or a bottle club less than 200 yards away that seems to have some problems from time to time. And I think it creates an overabundance of people right in there by the Richard V. Moore Center and the station and everything. Does this set a precedent that somebody else will come forth and say, since we've done this, do we grandfather them in, or do we set the stage for opening Pandora's box, so to speak? I just want to have this discussion.
You mean in terms of how they operate?
With live entertainment,
Yeah.
with things like that, because I understand. I see the area
Yes.
that they're creating. I've seen some of the entertainment there with the open mic, the entertainment inside. I've been there, enjoyed it. But I just want to make sure that as we endeavor to improve the area, and there are some controls in place, less than 200 yards away, there's a semblance of a lack of control on some particular evenings. And I just want to make sure and that we are, as a board, as we move forward, that we are not setting ourselves up to open Pandora's box.
And
You
just
all
so,
understand what I'm saying?
and just so you know, each one of the property owners along that area and anywhere else in the city, they can go through the process of doing a planned development for their site and maybe add live entertainment as one of the uses that they want, but it'll come before staff, and then staff will present that to you. So it depends on, honestly, what they're presenting, whether or not staff supports it, or whether or not this board feels that it needs to be approved.
Well, that other business has live entertainment, it's just the patrons.
And for the record, Mr. Thompson, there will be more discussion about that location at another time and place.
Okay.
Pastor Lake?
But for the record, that is an issue that's outside of this
Yeah,
particular item, but it is a location of concern because of the live entertainment, as well as other issues. But I understand what you're saying. You want to protect the growth. You want growth to be progressive as opposed to bringing something to the area
and it's
that's
gotta
going
be
to bring it
controlled.
down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In line with your comment there, my concern is with the commitment and engagement of the community. And I understand there were 20 persons that appeared
Attended.
at this meeting. And just wanted to know, were there any outstanding questions from the property owners?
Mrs. Gal will address that because staff doesn't attend the neighborhood meetings, and if she didn't note it in the summary in the letter, then she may pull from her memory because they are required to attend, but staff doesn't attend, and we go by what was written and provided to us.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, Ms. Gal will follow me.
Oh, yeah, there is one more question.
Yes, sir.
Is it, in regards to these types of neighborhood meetings with the landowners, with the property owners, is this good, in this number of 20, is that decent engagement historically?
For the area,
average,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Real good.
That's
That's the one.
that was a larger turnout than the U-Haul.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yes, very
yes.
good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And just to address the permitting question, traditionally with special events, there's a permitting process that we have to go through. It includes a limitation that the site can only be used for 14 days. What they're proposing here is activation for a greater period of time. It would still be limited to 10 days in duration. They would have to go through a life safety review, so it would be submitted to the police department, fire department for their review. They just wouldn't have to go through the formal special event permitting process for each event that they chose to have at the site.
And that brings up my other question. I'm sorry to bombard you. Has there been a law department impact study done on this?
Fire department impact?
Law department,
Law enforcement.
criminal. What is their input to this? Do we know what their take on this whole endeavor is?
They did, am I on?
Doesn't sound like.
They did a special review, specifically because I missed that part. I'm sorry. I should have had the uses as part of my presentation, but it was a part of your packet that I mailed,
Yeah, I saw
but
it.
it should have also been a part of this presentation. The police department had a specific and special review that we coordinated with the applicant, mainly because of the hookah use that they're asking for. So there is a litany of comments from the police department that Ms. Gow is fully aware of, the property owners are fully aware of, but the police department has reviewed this, yes.
I was
yes.
just piggybacking off of what Mr. Thompson was saying.
And I think what point that Mr. Thompson is bringing up, that sometimes it doesn't matter the use, it's how the use is being abused or
Right.
not treated in a respectful way is what his concern is.
Are there plans to increase police presence?
If we can, I'll do a little intro and then I'll hit that too. Yep, absolutely. For the record, Jessica Gow at Cobb Cole, 1 Daytona Boulevard. I started my morning in this room with code enforcement, and you guys are more fun than code enforcement. So I'm glad to end here too. Thank you, Michelle, for the staff report. It covered a lot of really good high points. This site, like it was mentioned, was purchased in 2019 by the current owners, and I think that I've seen, and I'll disclose we're doing this just because we believe in kind of the mission of that property, right? We're not getting paid for this work, we just are kind of shepherding through the process. We've seen a dedication to improvement to that property, community engagement, the activity with the city's mural program. I know the mayor went out to the grand opening of that. I think it looks beautiful and fantastic. And a lot of what you see in the staff report in terms of modifications are just kind of fitting the existing structures into that box. So very similar to what we did with U-Haul, where when you have these older structures, they don't meet the current code. And how do you fit that, retrofit it, and allow small businesses to thrive? An exciting thing that I think we're doing here is this project originally came in to activate that rear area behind the two buildings because it's a beautiful space. We had some pictures up. And right now they're restricted in terms of having live music there. It has to be inside the restaurant because it's kind of shared between the two uses and what that could be in the future. And so that's what we started envisioning with the owners is, wouldn't it be great to have poetry nights in the back, trivia night in the back, different things like that? And also maybe, art festivals and shows and things like that. And that's when we started the process with the city and we said, how do we get there? And it's through that PD process. Because otherwise you're restricted to that 14 days, which we've seen kind of restrain a lot of sites. And I think that the code is set up that way because when you think special event, you think large, the seafood festival, not poetry night in the back of this area. And so we've gone through and structured the agreement to say that there's two parcels, right? It kind of runs right down the middle and the back is shared. And so as part of the agreement, there's provisions that say there has to be a joint use agreement in the back, an easement, so that no matter who, if they were to sell one parcel, they always both have the enjoyment of that rear space that we're working on here. And so all those temporary uses are outlined in there. I did want to hit on hours because we went over it at the neighborhood meeting, which we'll touch on. It was very fun. It was one of the more active ones that we had. The hours that we currently have in the PD are Monday through Thursday, 9 to 9, for that rear area for temporary events. Friday and Saturday, 9 to midnight, that longer hour. And then on Sunday, 9 to 7, so shorter, bumping it back to quiet it down on Sunday night. The review process is something that we've defined over the years with Rose Askew, and as she's kind of transitioned to her new role, we've put into the PD agreements to where it's still 30 days before the event. If it is large and includes tents or tables or anything like that, we provide a layout to the city so that fire, police, permitting, and all of the health code and all of that can be met and reviewed, and they'll provide comments. The waiver is really to say there's not an application fee. And you don't go through the, typically we're submitting it, we're going into their formal portal, we're getting comments back in 4 weeks, and going from there to resolve. It's more of an expedited review because it's set up to kind of have those events. They route it to the reviewers, they get it back quickly so that the event can move forward. So that's the structure that we've landed on in the past that's been really helpful. That is the permit review, so it still has that 30 days. It's just by email transmission instead of a formal event permit. On the question on precedent, which I thought was interesting because we do a lot of PDs in Daytona Beach, right? We see it a lot. And I think the key to me, and I can't speak for staff, but I work with them all the time, is that one of the key elements of a plan development is you have to have that public benefit. And so here it's the community engagement, it's that focus-minded event structure, it's the improvements to the property through the mural and upgrading the back area and the landscaping to the extent we can, because right now it's all impervious. And that dedication to the site to kind of bring it up and make it a community center here in this area. Now, if the Bottle Club wanted to demonstrate that and come in and have a great neighborhood meeting with community feedback and positive results, that would be something that you guys would review, but I think that's what sets this one apart in terms of that view. The neighborhood meeting was very well attended. Usually it is just Ann and Sandy and maybe Chuck from Hometown News who comes and hang out with us. This one was very popular. I don't know if the complimentary smoked wings played a part. But when you have a neighborhood meeting in a restaurant, they did really well with opening that up. And one of the other exciting uses I did want to talk about is that right now the restaurant they have a hiatus over the summer when the students are gone because business is slow, but there will be a transition. So you'll see in the use list that Midtown Cafe is shifting to kind of a catering approach, is the current plan. And in the PD, there's something that we're calling a ghost kitchen, which is really a restaurant incubator space. And so you guys are familiar with Dahlia's out at One Daytona. Do you remember that golden few months where they also had a burger menu? and they were testing out the burger restaurant before they opened Burger 10 and Chicken 2, which is a little further into the shops. That incubator restaurant type use where you have either a full-time restaurant or maybe 2 or 3 operating out of the same space, but you have the opportunity to say, okay, we've got fusion and Mexican and burgers all there, so that small businesses have a way to grow that's not a food truck or something like that, is something we're building into this agreement as an opportunity for the site. So with that, I think that's a large overview. The neighborhood meeting was very positive overall. It was fantastic. I think it was our associate Alana's first one, and we may have set the bar a little too high for her from the rest of the input. But normally I think if the residents didn't agree, I'd have a crowd behind me. With that, I'm here for any other questions.
I may start. So this is technically going to be where the cafe is.
That's one of the buildings, and then right beside it as well. They're
Okay,
both
so what is going to be next to it? Because it's nothing now, but you guys anticipate it to be
something.
something.
Right, it's currently vacant. It's owned by the same individuals right now.
Okay,
And so I think with the transition with Midtown Cafe going to catering, they're looking at that structure next. They don't have a guaranteed redevelopment plan of that structure yet. I do know from past discussions, and something that's outlined in the PD is they would love to have a vision of some retail or restaurant space there with a dwelling unit above. So that's outlined in the agreement that the upstairs could be an apartment, really kind of like the artist loft. But they don't have a current plan for that. That is just kind of their next vision point. Yep.
I just wanted to add to the discussion that we currently have a grant application from the property owners to take away all of the boarded up look, replace the roof, and replace the windows and doors. And then at some point, they'll decide what business will operate there, but the plywood and stuff is going away.
okay.
That's great.
That is,
Does that leave one more unit next to the gas station, or is that the complete?
It completes
building.
from Pride's all the way back to Walnut.
Right.
Okay.
That's awesome.
It's been a long time.
Yes, goodness.
yeah, that's, okay, so we're talking about on the corner of Walnut, the front of that where the cafe is, next to the cafe, and you said Pride is this way,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay,
Yes, there's actually, see all those addresses I read?
yes,
Each one of them has a door that enters a separate suite.
okay,
So it's a total of 6 doors.
okay,
They currently have, well, it's weird. Anyway. Part of the lot is the green and black
yes.
on the front and the side where
Yes.
Walnut is. And the boarded up part are the other 3 addresses.
Okay,
540, 542, 544. Those are the boarded up properties.
okay,
But
And the-
one contiguous building.
Yes, on 2 different lots.
Right.
Yep.
question. So I heard the comment of a ghost kitchen. So if we have the opportunity to vote on this, and this is what this property is going to be, that would make it possible and open for other places to become something to this degree.
If they went through this process.
It goes
But I
back
mean,
to the
go-
plan.
Yes,
I would say, and it's something that that definition is a tweaked definition from something of a project we did a few years ago on LPGA. And so when the code doesn't have a very specific use like this one, either it's been done before, but just under the restaurant umbrella, right? With like the Dahlias, they're just a restaurant. But when we're going through this process, it makes sense to outline exactly what's going to happen for transparency. And I will say, to the point of, can anyone come in for a PD? They can. This one started early in 2022, so it's been a long journey, and we're excited to be before you guys. So it takes some wherewithal for the property owner.
okay,
If I must say, I think that was probably one of the only businesses that drew students east on Bethune Boulevard.
true.
On a consistent basis. And that's a great thing.
Additional questions, Ms. Hardy?
I had to. So I see that they potentially want to do like outside events such as music and live entertainment in an outdoor bar. Have they discussed any plans on ensuring methods to prevent 18-year-olds in college from being able to purchase from that outside bar?
I think it would be an extension of the same restaurant operation. And so in order to serve it at all, they would have to either have a catering license from the Division of EBPR, the letters are failing me, of Professional Business Regulation from the state. So it would have to be a caterer who would then have that liability to ensure that there were no underage service if they were to have a festival in that rear area, or they wanted to do something during the seafood festival and things like that. Otherwise, the licensed area of the restaurant may include a portion of that rear area, and they would have the same liability from that restaurant service to ensure that. But there may be a gate in the rear, but I think the intent is that they would either come through the restaurant to the rear or through the other building. So it wouldn't be a free flow condition where there's an independent bar in the back where people aren't being checked.
Okay. And my next question, as far as the owners, as far as ensuring like safety outside, making sure like people are just not, again, you just answered the question, they would go through the restaurant, ensure that there were no outsiders that can just wander in, security reasons to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and I said there may be a gate. If I'm thinking just from I'm assuming there is somewhere, I can't picture
I think
it.
there is.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of loading vehicles out there or tents and things like that. But I do think the intent is to allow that as an accessory function to the storefronts. So it would always be associated with those uses.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bonner?
That was kind of one of my questions about the security aspect, because I do know from around there, I've seen where some years ago, or maybe it was last year, they had another event back there, and it was a gate. Like you say, after dark, it is a little bit difficult to control and monitor, and so especially any business is. But that was something as well. And then again with the college students, I mean, I know usually they do look at them and do make sure they're carding or whatever if they're not of the proper age, but that is also a concern with
And
not
I
only
do-
that business, but others.
I do think for the rear portion for events, part of what is reviewed when that layout is provided is access. So if they're going through the front or if they're going through a gated access, the police may say, we need an attendant at the gate if they're going to come through the gate to have that review. So I think that would be based on the specific event and all.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Washington?
No question. I love the idea.
Ms. Shepherd? I'm good. Okay. Mr. Thompson?
No, I'm fine.
Pastor?
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. All right, we are voting. Public comments? I'm sorry, hold on. We have public comments. Mr. Lewis, Pierre Lewis.
Hi, Pierre Lewis, 137 Franklin Street. Good evening to the board and to the board members. It's a pleasure for me to listen to the board ask those type of questions. I believe the onus is upon the board to do its due diligence. And I think that conversation always needs to be had. You've got a planned development, you've got something that's going to occur in the area. The other reason I rise before the dais is to mention the fact that I was one of those neighborhood members that was at the meeting. I appreciated the conversation that was had at that meeting. I appreciate the due diligence that was handled by the authority that was there. Also, and ultimately, what I appreciate is the fact that I know the owners professionally, and I know them personally. I see that very seldom do you get a group of individuals that come to the Midtown area that not only just want to take money out of the area, but want to bring money and capital into the area. I know we saw the mural that was there when I was on the board that was there. We were talking about that. They came in with a vision. And that vision said that, I want to work with the community, the neighbors that are there, and give them an opportunity to have something different. Not something that was just for 2024, but I think their vision was something that you could build on from 2024 and go beyond. And not only just be able to say that, a lot of times we suffer in Midtown area, we have something it's not really a destination. It's a place where someone passes through. And I believe the owners, when they set this up in this, I don't know what you call it, ghost kitchen, but all these different things that they're here, they have a vision that they want people to stop in Midtown. Not just stop in Midtown because it's Midtown, but stop in Midtown because it's a greater part of the Daytona Beach area. When they stop in Midtown, they should be able to stop here because they say, you know what? It's not just in Midtown. We're in Daytona Beach. Because the same things that's in Midtown is the same thing that's in One Daytona, Beach Street, and all these other areas. So I think if I had my choice, I would speak in support of this. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Nicholson, John Nicholson.
Oh, my God.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. I don't want to speak against it, but I don't want to rain on your parade. This has so much potential, and when you look at the restrictions that you're putting on it, it's like putting handcuffs on someone before a race. You're asking them to compete in a race, and then you're putting handcuffs on them, which obviously slows them down. You have time limits, right? As most of you know, and some people have approached me, the entertainment in Midtown has vanished. All the clubs, bars, the entertainment, whatever you want to call it, on Martin Luther King is gone. Safari Lounge, it was the last really, I don't want to use the word hot, but well-established, very popular entertainment. That's gone. And when I was on the code board or nuisance abatement board, they constantly came before us along with two other clubs on Martin Luther King. This area should be hopping. You have 4,000 kids within one city block. It is not hard for them to get to this location. All right? If you look at that stretch from the railroad tracks to the college, it is extremely small in terms of location. There are a handful of buildings that could be used for entertainment. This cafe, which will go away, and it'll be a catering facility, which means it's not technically being used. It again becomes an empty building, only used occasionally. The building next door has nothing planned for it. It should be some kind of venue to attract those students, attract the neighbors, get the area moving. And it seems like they've been handcuffed. That area in the back is fantastic. If you imagine, if you can visualize that location, you've got the college down the street and nothing between the college and this location. I don't think you could put a bomb in this location that would disturb the students, all right? They don't hear a thing. No matter what's happening, they're on their earphones, they're louder than anything else. So they can't be bothered, all right? You've got the business district and a huge park now before you get to residence. So you are at least a city block and a band shell providing buffer before the area in the south. Going to the north, you have, again, a parking lot. You've got a park. You've got the student dorms. So the north basically is buffered. Going east, you've got nothing to the railroad track except the church that's there busy, Sundays? No businesses that can really be disturbed. Then you've got the Traeger property all the way to US 1, which is hardly ever being used. And then you've got nothing again except an empty gas station and the bus terminal until you get to Beach Street. It is a very isolated area. So having a venue there where kids can act out, can have loud music, you can move that music inside and occasionally have it outside and facing south. So there are about 6, 7 homes up and to the north, and Bethune-Cookman owns them, basically. So it's a very unique location, and you should use it to its highest ability. It should stay open until 2 o'clock in the morning. I know Miss Washington can't remember being young, but the rest of you can. You did not go to bed at that age at 12 midnight.
Watch it.
You didn't go to bed at 1 o'clock. You didn't even go to bed at 2 or 3. When the bar is closed at 3 o'clock, you usually went somewhere. All right, if nothing else, you ate. So I'm asking, it's a very unique location. Allow them latitude, give them as much help as you can, and realize this is something you want to grow, to be the first of many. Don't cut them short. Thank you.
Okay. Questions?
Ms. Sullivan, I have a question for you. So as far as the owners, when it comes to the timing, was that at their request, or this is the timing that the city allotted them to operate?
The entire plan development agreement, as well as the rezoning, is initiated by the property owner. Staff gives feedback in terms of safety and other issues, but in terms of how they operate, that's directly from them.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a question. So I know that they had a discussion at some point in time of the time that businesses that provided night events stayed open. What is that now? Have they made that change, or is it still the same 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
It is 12 midnight, but there is also an opportunity for businesses, specific businesses, to apply for extended hours permits. And it goes till 2 a.m., I believe, David, is 2 a.m.
Okay, right. So we are at the point of voting. Another comment?
Am I in? One more comment.
Okay. Hello.
No.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Amaya Albury, and I will be one of the new tenants in this property.
Okay.
So you were asking before about what the plans are for the other unit that was next to it. And what I'd like to do is put like a business development center. I am a real estate agent. I am a part owner of my brokerage, and I have about 15 years of having my own Department of Education contracts for persons with special needs. And my goal is for this to be a center for people to come for for-profit and not-for-profit development, to be like a partner with the Career Source, because I've worked with them and for them for several years, and to be a resource center also for entrepreneurs, because I am an entrepreneur myself, and to bring life. You know, I'm a graduate of Seabreeze High School in 1997. I know Buck Pride never dies, but Sandcrafts are still great too. But, and it does sadden me to see that, like Mr. Nicholson was saying, not have any businesses open and things like that, because it is a beautiful area. It's a beautiful community. And my plan is to open up and to serve my community. You know, I think it's time that we bring economics back to this area, to Midtown specifically. And I am open to partnerships. I am on the board with Mr. and Mrs. Mentoring for the last 3 years. And so my plan is to do vocational, youth, a lot of community outreach to, it's a beautiful space. The back is beautiful, the front is beautiful, the side is beautiful. And as the redevelopment happens, the other side of those buildings, it's gonna be beautiful as well. I've already talked to Home Depot, and, 'cause I'm there all the time, but they've agreed they want to partner and do some work and everything like that. And I think it's time that we bring those types of programs back to Midtown and develop them, you know, if they weren't there before. So Mr. Pride, you know, I've talked to him numerous times about having the youth come and learn how to change a tire and, you know, possibly change oil and things like that. So I think this is a great thing. I would like the consideration for it to be, like Mr. Nichols said, not to be handcuffed in it. You know, you do have to have certain rules and certain laws, and I do understand that, and they need to be, you know, abided by. But it is time for Midtown to be alive again, to, you know, to have life, you know. Originally, when I came there, I was thinking only, you know, a co-working kitchen, only co-working space, these kind of things. But once I started coming to the property and everything like that and being there, and I actually took a video from Ridgewood all the way to MLK, just counting how many businesses were actually live and open. And to be honest, I think there was like 6 or 7. So that's what I would like to say. And I have been in this area. You can check my receipts, and this is what I do. This is who I am as a person, and I would love your support to have it open up. You know, there is a gate in the back. You know, of course, if you had a festival or some type of event, you would definitely have security there inside and outside. You know, a lot of people from Bethune-Cookman have approached to say they would like to do cultural events, art, different things to enrich the students, that there is not a lot of activities, healthy things that, you know, that youth can do. And so that's what we want to do. You know, we are working collectively as a unit to move this forward, you know, and I would love for you guys to come and be a part of it and partner to see how we can make Daytona great again, or just great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are we voting?
We are voting.
All right. So our recommendation or the vote is to be considered moving this forward, recommending that the board agree to move it forward, going to the planning board for this project to move forward. And
Yep.
I would like to.
The chair needs to take a motion.
Yeah. Madam Chair,
Set a motion.
I move that we approve the recommendation of the staff.
Okay,
And I'd like to second that, please.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, like sign? All right, this project is moving forward to the planning board.
Very good.
All right. I have one thing to say. Lord, we are asking that you just move all of these things in our area forward for positive people to come in and touch and agree in this moment.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Something.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will move next to item 8, staff report. Sergeant Booth.
Good evening, good evening. I'm Sergeant Booth with Daytona Beach Police Department, obviously. I'm here on behalf of Captain Condi, who couldn't make it tonight. He wanted to send his apologies. He's attending, formerly known to us as Captain Williams, now Chief Williams of Holly Hill Police Department's swearing-in ceremony, so. Just really quickly, he gave me a stat sheet here from May 14th until today's date, with just a recap of some stats we have. So I'll start with the calls for service. We had 6,059 calls for service. We took 1,317 reports. We had a total of 168 felony arrests, 204 misdemeanor arrests, 833 traffic stops, 693 citations were written. There was 146 crash investigations completed, 16 DUI arrests, and 400 field interview cards. So those were just some of the stats he sent me with for those dates. As far as our traffic initiative for July, it's going to be the Dunn Ave corridor. The objective is to increase our presence throughout the center of the city, deter any potential crimes, and reduce the number of auto thefts and car breaks. Moving forward, we are planning to finalize our staffing needs for the August races to ensure a safe environment within the city. Our current concern are juvenile crimes due to school being out for the summer, and we have an increased number of juvenile offenses related to property crimes, auto thefts, car breaks. Our current trend is reference auto thefts remain the late Kia models, and Hyundais. So that's what we have as this meeting. Do we have any questions for him, or maybe that I can answer?
I just have a thank you for Captain Conde. He did email me the
Wonderful.
demographic breakdown of the citations there.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
I'll be sure to pass that along
yes,
to him.
that was appreciative. Yeah.
The only question I have is B&Es. Was there any stats on B&Es?
I will find out, and I will get that over to him. Unfortunately, to me, it's morning. For you guys, it's probably evening as I'm just getting here. So I woke up to an email asking if I can attend for him. But I will see what he has, and I will make sure he gets it over to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, no problem.
Any other questions? We'd like to thank you for your service and
Absolutely.
thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it.
Thank you all. I'm headed out. I got another meeting for him. You all have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Ms. Kirk from Code Compliance. Is she here?
I know Ms. Kirk was at the, I forget the name of the hearing this morning at 9 o'clock, and she's probably en route home or at the office, but she did not update me as to why she's not here. She had planned to attend.
Okay, all right. Next, moving forward, the redevelopment projects, Ms. Tolliver.
Hello again, Chair and board members. I'm going to go over the many flyers, and it is good that we have a lot of flyers because there are a lot of things going on in Midtown. The first one I wanted to point out is the one about the flood study that's meeting that's happening next week. If you all will share this with neighbors, friends, post it on your social media sites to get the word out. This is one of the best opportunities to get the information firsthand about the status of where we are in the study. The next one is one that Ms. Carey is passing out, and I apologize because I printed this at the last minute, and whoever prepared this by email, it kind of cut off at the end. So that's why you have 2 pages, and if I would have had more time, I would have corrected that. But just to give you some background on this particular flyer, the one here, for me, it is misleading because this covers more than just Midtown. It covers properties outside of Midtown. But let me back up. The city and the Housing Authority applied for a Choice Neighborhood Grant back in 2023. And I've given this update, but I'm going to say it again. We were awarded the planning grant, and what the Choice Neighborhood does is with housing authorities, they identify, they're sort of like the Hope 6 when Pine Haven and Halifax was torn down and rebuilt. Well, this is the next version of that, which is called Choice Neighborhoods. And we were awarded a $50,000 planning grant, and it's a 2-year effort where the Housing Authority has identified 3 properties, one at one at Palmetto Park, one at Caroline Village, and one at Walnut Oak. And we're in the process of planning how we're going to rebuild or relocate those 3 properties. So this effort is a 2-day event, but the copy that I gave you is the day that the public is welcome to hear and provide input about the plan for Halifax. It is Caroline Village, it is Palmetto Park, and Walnut Oak. But the day before this is actually on the Tuesday, the 23rd of July. This is for the public, but there is an event on Monday for the residents at those 3 locations. That's why I didn't copy that, and then when I saw it printed wrong. But the Monday is for the residents at those locations, and they're gonna look at their current existing conditions at those 3 properties. They've already done a survey. We have a consultant who was very successful in getting this. The next step after you get the planning grant is an implementation grant. And the implementation grant is, I think it's $50 million. It's been a busy day, and I apologize. I usually have my mind together.
50 million.
but it is a very large implementation grant that goes toward the relocation or the rebuilding of the properties that you've identified. And they're going to talk about their existing conditions, the survey information they provided, it'll all be summarized, and that's only for the residents primarily. But this event is something that is tied to most of our Midtown area. It goes outside of it because Caroline Village is not in Midtown.
Right.
Where Miss Washington lives is not in Midtown. But it covers areas, it covers every single one of our streets in our Midtown area, in addition to the housing properties that the Housing Authority owns. So I wanted to make sure you all get this and have it, and I almost forgot to include it. Did you have any questions about that? Okay. The next one is the mobile food drop that's out at Pastor Gooding's church. That's another one of the flyers I wanted to make sure you pass on, share with your friends, family, and loved ones. And then the last one, this is a repeat. This is from when we canceled our June meeting, I had it included. But I wanted to point this out because summer is here, and there are a lot of kids who don't have food at home because there is no school, breakfast, lunch. So please share this as often as you can and as much as you can. It started in June and it goes through the 9th, and we can see where our Pastor Lake's church is on here. I thought I saw it somewhere.
Yes, first one.
See, that's why it looked like I knew it was there. But make sure we pass this along and share it as often as we can. And the last item, maybe it's a series of last items. There's a lot of talk about what needs to happen in Midtown. And don't think that you all see something that our eyes don't see. It's especially residents. We see it as staff. And one of the updates that I wanted to provide, and a lot of what we do has to be censored to a point, because if you tell everybody your plan, haters want to hate on your plan.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to operate in silence and then reveal the results of that operation after it's done, so the haters can say, I didn't know that. I didn't think they were doing anything in Midtown other than doing a whole lot of talking. But just a reminder that when you have a grassroots effort, and that's what this is. I can't tell you any projects that have happened in Midtown that have transformed Midtown. Now, the rebuilding of the Housing Authority properties, that's transformational to that group of people. I'm talking about transformational to people who are older. I ain't gonna point to nobody, I'm pointing to the air. People who are older, people who are middle-aged, people who are young adults, people who are teenagers, people who are adolescents, all the way down to the babies. That's transformational. We have not had that in Midtown. So, and I'm not gonna preach, because I'm not a preacher, but I'm passionate because it bothers me. It bothers me to my core that, this is me. This is not y'all, this is not them. But it bothers me because there is so much work going on in Midtown. But y'all don't see it yet. But when you do see it, you may be a few years older, because when you're talking grassroots, people who know how to garden know that the seeds are there, but you don't see the fruits of that for years. But trust me, we see what they see, y'all see, we all see the same thing. Going back to my report. July, was it July? It was June. June 17th, approximately 10 a.m., the city, specifically the CRA funds through Midtown, finally closed on Shiloh's property. And I say that because I think it was approved back in April, and it took a lot of hard work from, I'm not going to call any names, but at Shiloh, it took a lot of work to resolve some issues that were clouding the title. And I say that seriously because Ms. Gal talked about the limitations of the properties are in Midtown. We know we're limited in an area that needs the most help, but there were so many issues that they inherited, that they created, and that they just had to deal with. There were over 11 issues holding up the closing of that particular acquisition. But one of the members did everything he could as soon as we pointed it out, because part of what you all don't see, and we'll probably be here till 9 o'clock if I told you what I did today. Not last week, not last month, but there is a lot of hard work going on. And I just need y'all to, and comments aren't I'm not telling people not to say but I'm just saying the recognition or the defense in terms of what we're doing in Midtown sometimes doesn't even need to be said. I sit there and I bite my tongue and I bite my lip and I pinch myself, because what you all see in the public, we see. And I want to remind you that we purchased 2 properties on ISB 8 months ago, 7 months ago. That's the foundation for what's going to come up out of the ground later. Dugan's old building, we have been going back and forth and back and forth, and this is one of those where I probably need to be quiet on, but we've not secured that yet. We're looking at Ms. Hurd's property. We haven't secured that yet. That's just a portion. There's going to be something coming back to you. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to tell you this month. We are looking at property almost to Keat Street. I can't tell you where it is because, you know, some people don't want us to succeed. But we're looking at a streetscape. We're looking at a kiosk on Dr. Bethune Boulevard. We have to do an RFP for it. There is so much work. I tell you, there is so much work, and it's tiring. This dress is going to have to go to the cleaners 2 times because it is a lot of work. It takes muscle. It takes strength. It takes sometimes hearing people and not hearing them. It takes encouraging me. These words that you hear are encouraging me too, because this is not easy work. But trust me when I say, Ken's not here. Ken is sick. He's not physically sick. He's dealing with some tooth stuff, but he's sick. Ken could have taken care of that months ago, but he can't, because once you start, it's contagious. I didn't see Ken's vision when he first started. I'm like, this man is crazy. How this place is gonna look better in no time? No time meaning 5 to 10 years, but it takes so much work. It takes headbutting. It takes not knowing, but just doing it because my boss say do it. I didn't see the vision initially because I'm like, I really don't think that's going to work. And somehow it's working. And the naysayers, keep naysaying. Please keep naysaying, because when it's said and done, just like Daisy Stocking Park, and then I'm shut up, just like Daisy Stocking Park, I never thought that park could look the way it does. But look at it today. And we're going to say the same thing when these streetscapes keep coming through, because and I know y'all are sick and tired of streetscapes, but this is a different type of streetscape. This is for areas that are high end. This is not your typical streetscape where people just throw stuff together because they say we're doing a streetscape. This is passion. This is motivation that comes from, I want to make a difference. Not just coming to work to fill a void in a chair, to come before you all and to hear the public hear something. It's not about that. It's about making a real difference. And you don't do that overnight. You do that with consistency, persistence. You do that. You got staff members, and I'm not ashamed to say this, you got staff members butting heads. You know why? Because we have vision. And sometimes when you don't see someone else's vision, you think they're in the way. And they're just as passionate as you are, and you have to take a break. And you have to say, let's agree to disagree. But we're going to continue to do the work that's necessary to improve where we live, because we know it. I can say it with my eyes closed. I can say it in my dreams. I can say it when I'm asleep. I can say it any way you want to. We know Midtown needs to improve, and we're working on it.
Well, let us say you motivate us.
No problem. And that's it. Do you all have any questions? I'm trying to think of but we're doing a kiosk. We haven't really figured out, and it's a digital kiosk. This is not a $500 item. This is a minimum of $1,000 to $5,000. It just depends on what, we're gonna do a photo booth at the kiosk. This is stuff that you see in metropolitan cities. Why can't we have it? We deserve it, we need it. But it's a wayfinder. It has so many capabilities. But there are so many things. And like I say, some of it is just until it happens. Some of it is, it's happened, it's time to share it. But there is a lot of work. And I'm gonna be quiet. That's it.
Ms. Sullivan, I just got one thing to say before you take your seat. I know everybody will agree with me that it takes a community, and we're so thankful for you and Mr. Thompson, because you guys have definitely given us the ability to help you guys with our input to lead the way to make this community a better place. So we appreciate you guys.
Thank you. And I know it because I can feel it. You can feel hate and you can feel love, but I feel it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your passion.
We're moving on to number 9, presentations for spotlights on Midtown.
Pierre Lewis, 130 South Franklin Street. And from the older people, you know, haters are gonna hate. From youngsters, haters are gonna hate, so I'm gonna speak for our demographics and say, we're not worried about y'all hating, you know. Our property taxes got this new wood in here. Well, anyway, either way, it's good to be able to see the board again and talk about not just the haters, but business being business. As you know, some of you are new, I handle the business spotlight for the board. And this month, we have 2 speakers that are gonna be here today. I found something called a Narcan or Nacan. Tells you how naive, how green I am to that. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was nasal spray. I almost put it in my nose till I got somebody to let me know. A friend of mine say, "No, Pierre, you're still a little Cub Scout, man." I'm rather green to that stuff. And she used to nurse, she said, "You don't spray that." I went to Walgreens and I said, "Hey, I got this box in there. Where's this at?" He said, "It's not here." Either way, I went to people that I thought that probably they explained to me what it was. And I thought it was probably one of the medical marijuana things. And I come to find out, no, it's not. But either way, it got me to walk in the community like I normally do to find new businesses that are there. So tonight we have 2 businesses that actually deal with areas that may be similar to that, but they're businesses in the area. And I always say business is always good because we need that lifeblood. We need something that's going to be, as we call, taxable entities in our areas. And these are 2 great taxable entities that are showing great community support. And with that, I will bring up next, and I'll let them go ahead and bring themselves up independently of themselves, so I don't have to come back up here. We have Mr. Ben Spiller with Benny Smoke and Vape first, and then we'll have Mr. Zach Frank Hauser. That's a business developer for the True Life Corporation. Right now, Mr. Ben Spiller, you would, sir?
How you doing?
Hello.
Ben, and I just opened up a new store here, and I'm very excited to meet all of you guys and do business with y'all.
Okay.
So I provide the community with whatever they need for all their tobacco and tobacco accessories.
Okay.
Yeah,
When did you open?
just about a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Welcome to our community.
thank you.
What are you located next to?
Right across from Spanos.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am.
I'm gonna ask the question, how old are you?
I just turned 22.
Okay.
I have a question for you. What's the best part of the business for you? Like the most?
Probably just that I'm getting to get involved with any type of business at all. And this just happens to be the business that I was taught, and it's the business that I know. So this is the business that my first business venture, but it's the first of many.
Okay.
That's great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Keep moving forward.
how do you
Thank you,
promote
sir.
yourself?
Right now, just word of mouth, and just been getting flyers out and things like that, meeting the neighbors and meeting the community.
Okay.
Fantastic.
What size staff do you have?
Just me.
Just you?
Wow.
Wow. Bless you, man. Wonderful.
Yeah, one of my buddies is at the shop right now. That's why I'm here.
What are your hours?
We're open 9 in the morning till 11 at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
7 days a week?
Yes, ma'am.
7 days.
Some long hours.
Yeah.
Are you busy, popular?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up, absolutely. Little by little every day.
Wonderful.
I noticed you have some good competition down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Spiller, can I ask you what, you said you have been around this business. Give us a little bit about your background in terms of, do you have family members who had a smoke vape shop, so forth and so on?
Sure. Yeah, so whenever I started out to get my AA degree at Daytona State, started out just one of my old coworkers from the grocery store I used to work at told me about this new gig they had found. They said, it's really nice. You can do your homework when the customers aren't in there. They're not as, over top of you like you would be at a grocery store. So I was really attracted to that. I was just, started out just something to do my homework at. And then I developed a passion for it, just meeting the customers every day. You talk to these people, you see your regulars so much, and you just start to build this connection with them. And it's hard to describe unless you've ever experienced it yourself. But I ended up just running his stores for him, the gentleman that I was kind of shown it all by.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yeah, now I'm going and starting my own.
Okay.
Entrepreneur.
Well, we are very impressed, and thank you for coming to present your business. We wish you well, and we hope that you thrive in our area. So welcome to the area.
Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wonderful to be here. Mr. Lewis invited me, so I'm happy to be able to speak to you all a little bit about True Leave, who I am, what we do, and a little bit about what we've done in the Volusia County community especially. So to begin, I started with True Leave. We are Florida's largest medical marijuana cannabis company in the state, currently operating 140 different dispensaries throughout. I started with True Leave in 2016 at our first dispensary in Tallahassee, Florida. From that, I was able to quickly move up from just your entry-level role, finding myself later on in my position today doing business development, where I previously also worked with physicians in the Volusia County area.
Okay.
Now I do a lot of business development, more so in new states as well as within Florida as well. True Leave is an industry-leading, vertically integrated cannabis company and multi-state operator in the U.S. with established hubs in the Northeast, Southeast, and Southwest, anchored by leading market positions in Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania. True Leave is poised for accelerated growth and expansion, building scale on retail and distribution in new and existing markets through its hub strategy. By providing innovative, high-quality products across its brand portfolio, True Leave delivers optimal customer experience, increased access to cannabis, and helping patients and customers to live without limits. Our current operations are in Quincy, Florida, where we originally began. If you're not aware of Quincy, Florida, it was actually once the richest community in America per capita, thanks to Coca-Cola. Unfortunately, a few of those years went by, people moved out. Quincy, unfortunately, became a little dilapidated, and True Leave moved in.
Okay.
We're actually now the largest business in that community, employing close to about 3,000 employees in that area alone. With that said, we've received numerous awards from Chamber of Commerce's as well as other local entities within the area. With our presence in rural majority minority Quincy, Florida, the site of our initial production facility has had a measurable and positive impact on community outcomes like poverty. We are led currently by our CEO, Kim Rivers, and we are the largest woman-led cannabis company in the U.S. So really great to have that. Again, as mentioned, we currently operate 140 dispensaries in Florida, which really serves our mission to expand and ensure safe, reliable patient access statewide. We've served over 1 million unique patients throughout the U.S., many of those actually Daytona Beach residents who have visited us at our International Speedway Boulevard location. Each product that we do offer is lab tested and independently tested by a lab that's then backed by True Leave's no question asked return policy. something you probably wouldn't think of. If you get a product from Trulieve, if you don't like it, doesn't work for you, providing the relief that you seek, you can't take that product back and try to find something else to be able to, alleviate those symptoms that you do experience. Each product is safely stored in child-proofed opaque containers. And we do also provide numerous discounts and first-time patient discounts for low-income patients, pediatrics, and veterans. We do also have a private consultation room to help out with the education for these new patients. If you've not visited our dispensary there, we'd love to have you. Stop on by. We can give you a tour of the facility, let you really get the experience of what patients in Daytona Beach get to have that experience when they come visit us. Through national and local outreach initiatives, we have partnered with numerous veteran organizations, such as Disabled American Veterans, as well as K9 for Warriors, which is a organization headquartered in Ponte Vedra. We also work with numerous health-related organizations, such as Libby's Legacy, breast cancer organization in Orlando, Florida. If there are, businesses or community opportunities, such as you were speaking, Ms. Turner, love to be a part of those. And Tolliver, my apologies. We love to be able to, represent those and be, an involved community member. Now to really talk about what else we've done in the Trulieve, Volusia County area. We originally moved into Volusia County in our Edgewater facility in 2019. That facility was very successful. We actually had to expand that, and later, 3 years later, we moved right down the street into a much larger facility for those patients in there. In May of 2020, we actually opened our 50th dispensary in the U.S., which is right here, Daytona Beach. Wow. So yes, it's right across from Bethune-Cookman and the Dollar General. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We also have locations in Orange City as well as Port Orange. We currently employ almost 80 employees throughout these 4 locations, a little over 20 at our Daytona Beach store. Each of these positions do go from hourly all the way up to salary positions. A lot of room to grow, no pun intended. Truly in the Daytona Beach community, we have supported the local Pride chapter, Chamber of Commerce events, collected donation for Toys for Tots. I personally have helped the local Salvation Army and 4 different locations, 4 different Walmarts ringing the bell to help out local veterans here in the Volusia County area. So really enjoyed that. And being able to help, again, people right here in this local community. We've also helped expunge over 200 records for people dealing with low-level misdemeanors for drug charges. Over 200 of those records, and a few of those were actually here from Volusia County. So happy to announce that and report that. We have held other register roll-up campaigns. Eventually, we'll hope to have that in Florida as well. But for example, Last Prisoner Project is a great organization that helps and tries to focus on those individuals that are dealing with low-level misdemeanors and other things in the criminal justice system to help them better advance themselves. We were happily able to raise $40,000 for that. We also provide Elevate Your Knowledge classes. So for patients in the Daytona Beach area who would like to learn a little bit more about medical cannabis in the state, or what their doctor may have recommended to them, we'd love to be able to sit them down, talk with them about the product itself, the compounds that are derived from it, and how those products work. We do have over 300 SKUs of products for patients to choose from. Not just flower items, but there are items like tinctures, capsules, and we have a great nasal spray that patients can administer. So a patient with seizures, their caregiver could be able to administer that for them. With that said, we're proud to support endeavors and other meaningful opportunities in the local community. If any of you all are interested, I do have my business card here, and I'd be happy to have those passed out to you. And please contact me with any questions or things going on in Daytona Beach. Absolutely.
We would love to have your card.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Does anyone have any questions?
Is there a sample on the card?
It is my number one question received. So unfortunately not. Cannabis is a Schedule I drug, so no, we cannot give samples out. So.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Amendment 3.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sure you're in support of it, but what's your prediction on it?
I am not in the realm to be able to hand out predictions. That is not my pay grade, unfortunately. Currently, polls are showing that 64%. We need 60% in Florida. Just so you all are aware, Amendment 3 is allowing for adults 21 and older to be able to possess, consume, and purchase cannabis from a licensed dispensary. With that said, again, we need 60% to be able to have that approved. Numbers right now are showing 64%, so we are hopeful that that number may either rise, but to get that passed.
Well, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Again, if any of you all are, go ahead.
I had 2 questions.
Go ahead.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but
No.
what demographic were you trying to target by moving to the location you moved to?
Well, really, our demographic is medical cannabis patients. As far as the Quincy area, if that's what you're referring to, we do, as a strategic point for Truly, we do look for rural areas to be able to provide growth and be able to provide opportunity. It allows our business to successfully expand.
So I didn't know anything about it because I don't research that at all. What amendment was that you spoke of?
Amendment 3.
Okay. So what is the legal age now as far as people coming in to purchase?
So a person to be able to purchase medical cannabis from us, first they would need to go see a licensed physician, so the DO or MD. That physician would have to take a CME in order to recommend. They cannot prescribe medical cannabis because it is a Schedule 1 drug. They recommend medical cannabis for a patient who has one of the listed qualifying conditions. There's about 12 of those, but they do also expand into similar or like kind conditions. With that said, we do have pediatric patients. So there are patients that are younger than 18, but they must have a caregiver. They also need 2 physicians to approve that child to be able to consume medical cannabis. They're not able to consume inhalation products, so it is tinctures, capsules, oral products for the most part.
So you don't have a standard age?
There's not a standard age. The adult use Amendment 3 would make the standard age, which would be 21 plus.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you all very much for the time. Again, reach out if you all would like to come by. I'd love to have you and show you around.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great evening.
All right, we are moving forward to.
Yes,
Moving on to number 10, old business. Any old business? Nope. We are moving on to new business. Any new business? Okay. Public comments.
moving right along.
Oh, let's see. And public comments, Anita. Hello, guys. Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. Anita Paloga from the City Clerk's Office. I wanted to just briefly introduce myself and bring some attention to you about a board member recruitment campaign that I am working on. It's to encourage citizens to, in hopes to fill the vacancies that we have on several boards across the way right now. I'm planning on doing a walk and talk in multiple business districts in the near future, and open to any and all suggestions that you may have, and any recommendations for candidates, for qualified candidates that you may know of. I have a flyer here with my contact information. People, if they were interested in applying, they can go right onto the city's website at cotdb.us, or stop on into City Hall to the City Clerk's office. I'd be happy to give them an application, answer any questions they may have. And so I've got a flyer here for all of you. Give those right over to Michelle. So any questions?
No.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing a fabulous job, and it's great to meet everyone.
Yes, here's the question for you. Where's the greatest need right now?
The greatest need right now is actually in the Beautification and Tree Advisory Board. And we're seeing much need in Zone 3 for a lot of vacancies. We have about 15 vacancies, and there's actually 15 terms that have expired or coming to expire by year end, by December 31st. So we're looking in all different aspects. I know that
What redevelopment area is that?
the beautification.
There's the number of vacant homes, the 15?
So with the beautification, I've got the numbers right here. Right now, we have three vacancies in zones 3, 5, and 6. We have one in each there, in zones 3, 5, and 6. There's a vacancy right now with the Midtown Redevelopment Board, and a term that had expired on December 31st of '23. And then if you have any other questions, if you know any of the other boards that are out there, I'd be more than happy to provide you with all that information.
Anita, may I add to what you're saying?
Sure.
Just for a point of clarification, Ms. Hardy's position has officially expired. She served 2 consecutive 2-year terms. She will continue to serve until a qualified applicant applies and fills the position.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Pierre Lewis?
I'd be remiss if I didn't have something to say, right?
Right.
Who said it right? Who put that out there? Give you some Narcan. Pierre Lewis, 130 South Franklin Street. Just a couple of comments. First, I was glad to see the meeting. I thought the meeting went swell. I shouldn't say swell. People say I shouldn't use the word swell. But anyway, it was a great meeting. I enjoyed it, and I love to see the discourse that always occurs with the fact that the board will take the position to at least ask the applicants stuff like that, because I think that interchange makes us all better. A couple of comments that I've heard recently, I know, sort of in the area, on the street, so to speak. One is, what's the story with the update with the Transform 386? Seems like a lot of people put stuff in for that, and we've got no update on that, whether it's on the website or something like that. Haven't heard anything on that. Underground utilities is still something that seems to be talked about a lot in the Facebook group, a lot of times on the area. What's the story with that? Procedures for that. Digital signage. I took down a lot of signs the other day. Matter of fact, a guy tried to roll up on me, but he forgot I was in the Marine Corps 20 years. But either way, he tried to roll up on me because I was taking some signs off of a pole. And like they say, haters gonna hate. Well, he did until he found out who I was. But anyway, the story. He said that he was the fact that why was I taking the signs down. And I told him one of the things we're working towards in the Midtown, that a lot of times investors are looking at the beautification of our area. So I suggested to him, it would be great if we could mention it to the board to see if there's some kind of digital signage that when they have events, maybe they could have, I don't know where we would place it at, on the avenue, on this place that says that this is going to be happening at this time. They would work with the city or work with the area and be able to put stuff that's there. He kind of liked the idea when I mentioned, he says, you know what, Pops? They call you Pops and Unc. But anyway, you know what, Unc? You got to remember where you're at. You know what, Unc, right? If they had that sign there or something like that, I wouldn't put any signs on the poles. I said, really? He said, yeah, straight up. That means okay. He said straight up. I had to learn this stuff. He said, straight up. We put that there, and we wouldn't put that there if you had some place that we could put notifications that we're having. I don't know where we put that there, but I thought some kind of digital signage, if we could work that in conjunction with the great new plans that we're talking about, how the area that's there. Michelle's not her hand, so she probably knows that.
Can I just add real quick while you're
Yes,
on
ma'am.
that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Digital kiosks will have opportunities for businesses to advertise.
Great, okay, yeah. Because I pointed out the sign, which is a beautiful sign at the Dickerson Center. It's always got events, tennis, and activities. I go there to work out, so I go there and stuff like that. I said, wow, that'd be a great place if they had some signage there. And then the other thing, too, is I mentioned about the, I know that Ms. Tolliver mentioned about, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I know there is. If there's some way we could have a shortened version, maybe not all the details that's online that says that certain things, sort of broad stroke, that things are happening, kind of call it the what's up section or what's happening or something like that in Midtown. Somebody could easily go to the site and see this, and these things are kind of happening without having all of the stuff that's out there and stuff like that. But, and then my last comment that I would like to say is that, the pool, Campbell Pool, opened today.
Oh.
I was down there today. I've been going to Daytona State College to swim some laps. And now that the pool is open, I can go right down there and swim. I can go right down there to the Dickerson Center and lift weights. I work out. The Snowby Center's got the yoga class. You can go right down there to the Midtown. They've got a seniors class. I even ate lunch there one time. there is a lot of stuff that's happening, not just in Midtown, but in Daytona. I'm one of those citizens that believes that a lot of times people say that things are not happening because somebody didn't knock on their door and say it. But I'm here to say on this dash that there's a lot of things that if you want to find something to do in Daytona, and most of that stuff, it's there. It's free. You've got those that will seek will find. And that's it. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I speak to that and to Ms. Tolliver's point? Are you saying that the kiosk will have digital display for signage and advertisements?
Yes, it will. It is an expensive machine.
Beautiful.
It's going to be a wayfinder. It's going to be a location for events that are not just in Midtown. Midtown is going to be the primary advertiser, but it's going to be events citywide. We're going to have, I won't say we can only afford one. We don't have a lot of events centered right in Midtown.
Right.
So until we get to that point, we're going to start with one kiosk, and we're looking at locating it somewhere near MLK and MMD. Mainly because that's sort of like the main vein. Yeah, it's the main vein, but we also want to stimulate MLK. So at some point, we're going to put a digital kiosk somewhere on MLK. The current kiosk or the current digital signage that Mr. Lewis was referencing is not designed for advertising. It's public events. Private events. It's specifically for events that are going on at the Dickerson Center. That's how they bought it. That's what they wanted it to do because it's new. You know, Dickerson Center, of course, didn't look like that before, but that's how they purchased that sign. But we're specifically purchasing, meaning Midtown funds, are specifically purchasing an expensive digital machine.
And Madam Chair, can I add also to that list that Mr. Pierre mentioned, what about, or where are we in the process of expanding fiber optic cables in Midtown?
Underground,
Yes.
it has been a discussion since Ken came on board in 2022.
Okay.
We are pushing Public Works to push Florida Power and Light because we have to motivate Florida Power and Light to do it. But it is an ongoing and a continuous conversation. It has not happened yet because Florida Power and Light has to say yes, and they have not said yes yet. Specifically on MMB, specifically on MLK, potentially on Orange Avenue at some point. But we started out with the conversation saying, let's look at North Caroline Street, right past Pine Haven, because there were new homes that went up. And we wanted to pick a small project because when you do a major thoroughfare, you're talking millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
So we picked a small side street that is pretty short. We don't have support for that yet.
No
But
competition.
you have to,
No
pardon?
competition.
No, we don't have buy-in from Florida Power and Light to say yes.
You're right.
Say that again, Pastor?
No competition.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Souls, yeah, that's the sole energy source for this area, correct, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a relationship, just like any relationship. You keep saying no all you want to, that doesn't mean we're going away.
Yes.
We're just gonna deal with somebody at some point who says, let me hear what you said, I hear what you said. Let me try to find a way to fund that. Let me put it in a plan somewhere, but right now it's not in a plan.
Right. Excellent. Okay, thank you.
We have another,
John Nicholson.
yes, Mr. Nicholson.
Public comments.
Public comments.
John Nicholson, 413 North Cranberry Avenue. This past Sunday, I have a habit of walking around the beach and doing some things every Sunday. And lo and behold, Steve Miller pops up. He and his girlfriend driving down the street, beep, 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 beep. And so we sat talking for about 2 hours. He's running for office, said he wanted feedback. But during the conversation, a comment was made about, as we walked around the boardwalk, all the problems that were there. He said, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. And I said, well, we've spent over $100 million downtown. And then we've spent about $50 to $60 million in Midtown, and we've not broken quite 1 million yet on Beachside. There are a couple of things that we need on Beachside. And he goes, we haven't spent 50 million on Midtown. I said, well, yeah, most of it's in infrastructure. He said, well, if it's in infrastructure, we don't see it, we don't know it. So I'm asking you at some point to find a list to get the word out what money has been spent on Midtown, because they can't see it. And that's one of the things that Norma Bland and I used to have conversations with. Well, we don't see it, so it doesn't happen. Her big thing is that she used to come before the commission and say, there hasn't been a new building built in Midtown in 40 years. And I'm like, Norma, there's like 400 buildings built in Midtown in the last 40 years. And she says, well, yeah, but they don't count. They belong to Bethune-Cookman College, so they don't count. Well, the Hope 6, well, no, they don't count. They're not new buildings because the city didn't build them, so they're not a new building. You had about 100 buildings for Habitat for Humanity. Well, they don't count because the city didn't build it. Well, this is something the city really did do, but yet nobody sees it. So I'm asking you at some point to find out what the city has done for Midtown and print it so it's there in black and white, because they can't see it. And if they don't see it, they don't realize it. All this stuff that's coming down the pike that Ms. Tolliver is talking about, all the stuff that's happened, that you guys, really, if you don't think about it, you don't realize. I mean, yeah, Daisy Stocking Park was a big thing. The Dickerson Center was a big thing. But the re-landscaping, you sort of kind of almost didn't see MMB being re-landscaped. It was subtle. You really didn't see it. The asphalt parking lots, they didn't really see it, but it was done. These incremental things are getting done little bit by little bit, but they won't know it until they see it on a list and say, oh my God, all those things were done. So I'm asking you to think about the possibility of writing it all down so that people know what's happened, whether they see it or not. Thank you.
Great point.
Another public comment is Ms. Wilson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is, my address is 225 South Franklin Street in Daytona Beach. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know why, because I love to speak. But my question is this. I'm a longtime resident of Daytona, moved away, came back home. But I see in my area, and I've spoken with code enforcement to try to alleviate some of these homes with abandoned cars, trash in the yards. How do we really address this? I mean, it's just overwhelming. Overwhelming. I've also taken pictures, sent in to code enforcement. I've been dealing with one lady there. She's been trying to help me out, but it just seems like we're at a dead end. How do we make, and I'm in the Midtown area, better? We spend a lot of money in our property. We keep it up. I want my street to look as good as my house. If somebody on the same street has all these abandoned cars and trash in the yard, that brings my property value down if I wanted to sell it.
Yes, it does.
But yet my property taxes are still going up. How can we address this issue? Is there an easy way? Or maybe not an easy way, but a viable way to get the residents where you live just to make your places look better. I don't want to approach anyone because everybody's on edge. So I try to take the steps of authority, so to speak, and do what I should be doing. But I'm just overwhelmed with it. I'm very frustrated. As a matter of fact, Pierre owns some property on the same street where my property is. And we keep our places looking good. But sometimes you don't even want to bring people around. Seriously. Either the people have died off, they have younger members in the home, and they're just doing whatever they want to do. How can this be addressed? I'm open for every suggestion. Seriously.
If we had some more concrete, like an address.
Oh, I have addresses, darling.
Bring them on in.
I have
We
pictures.
A code enforcement officer that does respond to us every single month. And if we had a list here.
Okay.
Now, do you think?
I have, and she was supposed to be here today, but for whatever reason,
Yeah, she got-
Miss Kirk. And I've been dealing with her on the phone, emails, but it's just such a slow process.
I went through the same thing you did with my next door neighbor.
It's
got out there and
crazy.
So
You did what?
I got with the code enforcement about my next door neighbor. They came out there and I'm not gonna go into details.
Right,
but
I understand.
They made him get a new roof. They made him clean up his property. He had people living behind his house, vagrants, and they would pay him $25 a month.
Oh, Father.
And she got her folks out there and cleaned all that up. So I can attest to her doing her job well. So give us some more details if
Okay.
you can, and then we can address it with her.
Absolutely. And can I present that to you before I leave tonight? Because I'm over it. Seriously, I'm over it.
Can I
Okay.
add to the discussion? I'm Michelle.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
one of the staff members here at the city.
Yes, ma'am.
We have an app. I appreciate what Ms. Shepherd is saying, but I would suggest that you use an app that we have. You take a picture, it's called See-Click Fix.
I've been there, done that.
Okay, so, and there are layers, If you've already done that, then you need to communicate that to me and I can follow up on whatever you've done. But
It's
part
been
of it,
5 years.
okay, we
We're
just
not-
got, we
I'm
just got
sorry.
See, no,
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm-
sorry, we just got See-Click fixed a matter of months ago, but your effort has been over 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me give you some more information.
Okay.
I have a business card, I have a phone number, and I have a responsibility to respond to what you're saying.
Yes,
Some of it is going to require some follow-up. Some of it is going to require, hate to say it, but patience, because what Ms. Shepherd explained didn't happen overnight. And you're experiencing the frustration. Part of it is a legal process that has to happen when you notify property owners of a violation. It is a long, drawn-out process, but that doesn't mean you have to stop. That just means continue what you're doing, rely on staff as an intercessor to help you resolve the problem, but keep in mind, it's not going to happen overnight. You have a voice, and your voice is being heard, but it may not be done quickly. So I have a card, I have a phone number, I have an email address, and I can follow up on the tickets that you've put in so far for the
Yes.
See-Click Fix
Okay.
and find out the status of it. I've been working with Miss, I don't know why I can't think of Miss Washington's last name. Miss Washington has had several issues in her neighborhood. Miss Washington is not even in the Midtown area, but she's a resident. And Miss
Right.
Kirk has gone over and above to help her resolve some of the issues. We have a separate issue that I'm working on now with Miss Washington, but it's going to take time. And now that you have a point of contact in addition to Miss Kirk,
Yes, ma'am.
we'll see what we can do. But again, it's not going to be quick, but at least you're addressing the issue. Some of it may be organizing a neighborhood block. You know, and you mentioned some people are stressed, some people don't include them. Include the ones, and this is just brainstorming.
Right,
This is not
right.
an answer to the solution, but it's going to be layers of things that has to happen. And hopefully the perfect storm is one of the properties gets cleaned up, then the next one, then the next one. But continue to come. You can watch from home if you can't come. Continue to reach out to Mr. Lewis. But keep in contact and expect results, but the results are going to be slow. And we appreciate you coming.
Yes. And just for the record, did you want to say something? Just for the record, the next flick, is it?
See-Click Fix.
I went to that because that is really new.
Yes.
But when I returned back home from New York 5 years ago, I addressed the court enforcement in regards to the same property. One guy did come out.
I can tell you now, we have a new code enforcement
Okay.
manager since those 5 years. But his job is even more difficult.
Lord have
Because we have it, when you identify a property or a boundary as a CRA, a community redevelopment area,
Right.
it's because there is blight and slum.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of it, it takes time to clean it up. But that doesn't mean we gotta stop.
Right.
That just means you got another team player, tag I'm it, tag Miss Kirk is it, tag Miss Shepherd is it. You just got more team players, but just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, I thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Oh, you had me, I had a comment.
Go ahead.
Well, as if I don't have a comment, but I'll be quick. The one thing I would think the board and the audience to remember, when you talk about blight that's in Midtown, and when you also talk about the fact that somebody's got, like, we're property owners that's there, a large part of Midtown is transient. They are not property owners. So if you say, okay, well, I need you to clean this up, they don't have the resources to clean that up. I'm not making any excuses for it, but it's like, if that funding, that money that we receive is to clean up that blight, then at some point, I mentioned this when I was the board chair, that at some point we should have some sort of task force that says, listen, we've got, your car is there, call this number and we will get it towed away in your yard for free. You've got transient population that's there, you've got an elderly population that's there, but it's Midtown, if you look at the demographics, it's still not really elderly. The demographics, the status, census tract 619, 620, 621, 820, I'm sorry, that's in our area, is still, median age is still 21 to 25. It's really not senior as people think. My point is still this, is that those funds are, if the funds are there to clean up that blight, then somehow or another, maybe we could work on something, like we say, with the future plan, it's not gonna happen overnight, but that money goes to, because if you're just gonna call people in Midtown and say, clean up this, and they don't have the resources, and when you look at that tax roll table, you'll see that not many people actually are the owners. Six people own these places, own 6 and 7 properties that's in the area. The people that are living there in those areas are just transient people. Does it need to be cleaned up? Of course it does. But I'm saying realistically that's there. And then I'll close on the last thing is that I remember when John quote that stat, he said about $50 million. I've got that spreadsheet that says $50 million. That was not $50 million that went in Midtown. That was $50 million that did it in Midtown and the surrounding area. Only $13 million actually went into Midtown. I've got the stat, and I'll send you that right there. So it's inappropriate to say $15 million was put into the Midtown, because all of Orange Avenue is not all of Midtown, only a part of that. So they say $20 million went into Orange Avenue, that's not Midtown. So it's misleading, and I think it's disingenuous to even say that, $50 million, because it didn't go here. Because if you put $50 million in there, Midtown would look like it's, well, you know. Like they say, like the kids say, it'll be swinging,
Okay.
Right, yeah. It'll be slaying, as they say. And I'm going. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, so we are having board comments. I will start. This has been a great meeting tonight. Looking forward to partnering with each and every one of you. Excited, reinvigorated by Ms. Tolliver's speech, because I was a little put back, but I am excited. So whatever you need for us to do or me to do, please don't hesitate. So thank you. I'm sorry.
I got 3 great things to say. You guys probably don't know this, but our Boys and Girls Club got like 3 great things going on right now. So the city of Daytona has partnered with one of my favorite restaurants here at Daytona Beach called Kill Cafe, Miss Camille, and she has been teaching our kids. She's running a cooking course for our kids, where she serviced over 50 kids for the past 3 weeks, and she's going to run through the rest of the summer, coming twice a week, servicing all 50 of our kids, teaching them how to cook different healthy foods. So that's going to run for the rest of the summer. Our Boys and Girls Club we're kind of mending the gap between the elderly and the kids. We got a partnership that we're starting with Council on Aging. That's in the building behind us on the same property. So we're going to start working with the elderly next week and interacting with them and the kids and to do fun stuff with them. And then last but not least, the mayor has contacted us, and he wants to get our kids involved into the math initiative. So we got some fun stuff going on with our kids for the summer.
Good, very good.
Ms. Bonner?
I thought the meeting was very informative and insightful. I've learned a lot, and again, just echoing what has already been said. I think that we are continuing to strive in the right direction, and Ms. Tolan, of course, we appreciate all that you do, all you and the other staff as well. So please know that. So again, I think that it was a very informative meeting.
Ms. Washington.
Fantastic meeting this evening. I enjoyed it tremendously. A lot of feedback, and I'm glad I made it.
Ms. Shepherd.
I simply want to echo what everybody's been saying, and I think that every now and then we do need to uplift each other. So, Ms. Tolliver, once again, you were doing such a fabulous job, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and Midtown, thank you.
Yes. Mr. Thompson.
I echo that. And I think it's evident that we are on a different wavelength as a board, that we are protecting Midtown. We are looking at every project that comes with keen eyesight, making sure that the impact that it has on our community is going to be positive. That it is going to make sure that Midtown shines. And I think that no longer will Midtown be overlooked and taken advantage of. And I'm proud to be a part of this board. A year ago, I sat here and with your approval, we launched a project called A Chance for Redemption. And it was the story of Midtown.
That's right.
And with your help, we told that story, and it got rave reviews. And people are still asking me what's next. Well, after the play closed, what we do as playwrights and producers, we took all of that information, the notes from the play, the videotape, and we went into workshops because it's a process. And as a result of looking at what I saw as the creator of this project on stage and what those artists did to the characters, I took about 2 months to rewrite it. And taking all the data, all the information, and looking internally, it caused me to redo the entire project. And now it's called The Gold in Midtown. And there was a seminal line in that play that Hobo Joe said, there's a lot of gold to be found in Midtown. And with the assistance of some dramaturgs in New York and some people who I respect, when I broached the subject, they agreed. And so we reimagined the whole piece. Wow. And we were invited to submit the new version of it to the prestigious International Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem. Okay. And were notified 2 weeks ago that we were selected as one of...
Fantastic.
And at the end of July, I'll be going to, Sheila Davis and I'll be going to Winston-Salem, where it will be featured. And we're going to do a featured reading of the play with some professional actors, directors, and theater owners from across the world. And the story of Daytona will be now heard across the nation and across the world. So it lives. And I'm proud to say, because of all of you, this story about Daytona Beach has legs now. So thank you.
That is great.
That's marvelous. I don't want to say anything after that. Great meeting, and it's been my pleasure to serve with you. Look forward to doing marvelous things, and thank you, Michelle. Your passion is awesome and very inspiring and encouraging. And for the staff, we appreciate all you do.
Yep.
Bless you.
Right.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. And that's.
Thank you.
Yes.